How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the shop. So today we're going to look at a new tool that I just bought. So this tool was something that I've been kind of looking at, but really haven't been able to pull a trigger because as I mentioned in my shop tour video, I don't really buy a tool until I absolutely can't do without it for the most part. So this tool is a new circular saw. It's got a 10 1/4 inch blade on it. It's not plugged in. And the reason I bought this is because I absolutely can justify it for this table that's behind us. It's a table that I'm working on that's got really big chunky pieces of poplar. So right now it is 3 inches thick, 3 1/8 inches thick, and my cordless saw and my other corded saw that was, I believe, 7 1/4 inch blade, they both were not deep enough cut to cut completely through that 3 inches. So this is the saw that I got. When I was thinking about which saw to get, I looked at this one and its bigger brother, which I believe is a 16 5/8 inch blade. So this one is designed to cut through a 4x4 in one pass, which is 3 1/2 inches. I believe it does 3 13/16 inch depth. And then the bigger one is designed to cut through a 6x6 in one pass, so it's a little over 5 1/2 inches. So this saw on Amazon, shipped to my door, was just under $300, and the saw, the big brother, I believe was like $730. You probably could find it cheaper than that if you were to search around. For about a year, I've been looking on Craigslist in my local area and on Facebook Marketplace, but haven't been able to find anything. So I decided to go ahead and pull the trigger on this one. So a few features that it has, we'll bring you in a little bit closer so you can see. So a few of the features here, it's got the rip fence set up, so you can run along a straight edge of a board that's already cut like plywood for ripping plywood down. So that is what that is there. As I was mentioning, it's got a 3 13/16 inch depth of cut, I believe. Let's double check that. So it comes with this blade, which is pretty nice. It's a ripping blade. Yeah, so it's 3 7/8. So that's pretty good cut there. I mean, that's as deep as I think I'll need for quite some time. The main thing I got this for is when I saw all my slabs, my live edge slabs, I cut them to 3 inches to account for any cupping that might happen on a board that's 40 inches wide. So sometimes I have to cut it down the middle and cut out basically a little wedge to help bring that back into flat without taking off a whole bunch of material. But I do start with a 3 inch thick board to hopefully alleviate that. So this is the primary reason why I went with this saw, was to be able to cut that deep. So let's see here what it cuts at a 45. And one cool feature that I'm noticing is all of these quick adjust. You don't have to have a tool to make these adjustments. So that goes all the way to 50 degrees. So at 50 degrees, depth of cut, I believe is 2 3/4 or 2 1/4 maybe. Let's look. Just over 2 1/2, maybe 2 9/16. Yeah, 2 1/2. So the bed on it is quite good size too. We'll measure the accuracy of the angles here in just a minute. So on the small side, you're 1 1/2 inches, which is the same as my old one. I really like it being a nice round number. I've had a saw before that this number wasn't a round number, and so when you're setting up a ripping fence, you're having to add 9/16 or something, which is just a little frustration. So to this side, it's 6 1/8, so some semi-round number. It's got a 15 amp motor on it. It should be able to cut straight through some hardwood. I've got a good piece of hardwood out there that we're going to test this on just to see a full depth of cut, how good it is. Let's see, something else I've noticed already that I really like is this handle here. Noticed this when I first got it. This is actually reverse threaded. So when you're using it, the movement of your arm when you're pushing is actually tightening this handle instead of loosening it. That's something that I really like. So let's put it off the side of the table saw here and set up the Wixie and see how accurate the predetermined angles are. All right, so let's go ahead and turn the Wixie on. Okay, zero that out. All right, so we're just gonna make a general assumption that this is not got any undulations in the table saw. It's a clean board, so should get a pretty accurate face-to-face reading there. So let's go ahead. All right, you see that? 90.1 degrees, which when I'm bringing in the table saw, if I can get it within 0.1 degrees, that's satisfactory. So let's see here what the 45 is. All right, holding that hard on the table. Let's see here. Okay, so that measurement is a little bit off. Let's see. So it's a degree off, which that could be possibly because I'm, just eyeballing it here. So it's reading 135.9 on there. So that's what, 45? Let's check this side of the blade. Okay, yeah, 44.5 degrees. So pretty close. If I were to be trying to cut a 45 on something, I would definitely finesse that until I got to 45. So with that, let's see what it looks like cutting this poplar. All right, so I've got the straight edge set up. I went ahead and just did 7 inches in. I'm just trying to square up this edge because this edge here I cut with my old saw and finished off with the hand saw. So I'm gonna square this edge up before I attach the breadboard end. Oh, I measured something wrong. Measure to the wrong side of the ruler. So obviously, brand new blade, so it cut as to be expected for that. Wasn't pushing very hard on the cut. It's only poplar, so it really isn't a good test of the strength of the machine. But let's see here what that angled out to. Of course, this probably isn't the best test, because this isn't milled perfectly. We're at 89.6, so not bad. All right, that's just one portion of the board. Like I said, these are joined together, and this one of these was a little bit funky, so they're not exactly perfect to each other. Something else that I wanted to test, on the old saw, one of the issues I had when I was doing a full depth of cut, it hit the motor on my track. So let's see how deep I can go on this side of the saw. Yeah, that's gonna still be the same issue that I had before with that part. So if I'm going full depth, I'll have to go on the other side, I'll have to use this side of the fence, which is not a big deal. Let's see how deep that cut is. I prefer to be on the wide part, if you know what I'm saying. The wide part of the bed. So that's still 3 9/16 that I can cut without interfering with the motor part. So I'm gonna go pull a piece of oak that I've got that I believe is a 4x6 that I've saved for a bread or for a table a bed that I'm building. I'm gonna go grab that real quick. We'll take a look and see how it cuts through there. All right, so I got a piece of red oak that has been drying for quite some time. It's been air drying. So it is 2 7/8 by 6 1/4. And what I'm about to test here is how quickly it will go through to see if we can maybe get it into a bind or something like that. The depth gauge on here is pretty accurate too. It tells you how deep the cut's going to be. Pretty close to being accurate. Let's see. I'm not going to try and take too long of a cut because I'm still planning on using this board. So let's see here. Really not a fan of this thumb thing that I have to press that's not proud of the surface. I'll show y'all that in just a second. Okay, so I didn't cut all the way through. Let's make it a little bit deeper so we can get all the way through. All right, so that was more or less as hard as I could push. You could hear it binding a little bit, but it definitely didn't bind out. So one little side trick, I don't know if everybody knows about this, but using a framing square as a fence. So you just set it up where you're ready to cut and then just bump the bed against that and then use that as your fence. Works great, helps keep you on track. If you're just framing stuff, you know, not a big deal, but when you're trying to get a pretty square cut with a saw like this, definitely a good little trick. So with that, this is all just initial impressions. Just to recap, almost a 4-inch cut. The depth of cut is pretty good. Adjustment is just with a thumb set back here for adjustment for the angles. It's got the rip fence. It's got a nice oversized device here for holding up the blade guard. Let's bring you in so I can show you this here. This is the thumb device. Let me unplug it before Safety Sally says anything. This is the thumb part here. You have to press that in and it's flush with the surface. You see that? That is wicked irritating. Besides that though, because I mean, how are you supposed to, as a right-handed guy, sure, it's not, it's just not where you want it to be. It's too low, and it's definitely should sit proud of the surface. So I'm gonna be gluing something onto there for that, for sure. With that, I guess this is all I'm gonna say for my initial impressions. Good saw, $300 for that one cut that I just did. This is absolutely not a sponsored video. I'm not cool enough for that. So I did pay for this out of my own pocket. So with that, if you have any questions about the saw, throw them down in the comments. I'll run different tests if you got some. I'm not gonna AVE style tear it down because I wouldn't be able to get it back together. With that, hope everybody enjoys. I couldn't find another video that reviewed this specific saw, but it's a Makita 10¼ inch circular saw. It's HS0600 for anybody who's interested. So with that, hope everybody enjoys this. Maybe gives you a little bit more information on the saw that wasn't in the videos that were the promotional videos. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.